Fred Mangol, Captain, U.S. Navy, retired. I got a call from the Bureau saying, you know you were supposed to go and get command of a new destroyer? And I said, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And they said, we want you to go to the Harvard Business School instead. I said, no, I don't want to go to the Harvard Business School. I want that new destroyer. And they said, you're not listening. You're going to the Harvard Business School. And I said, all right. And so I did. It was great, great experience. Some of the smartest people I've ever known in my life. Still very close to all of them. And in fact, we have lunch every 3 months with the ones that are in this area. In my class, my section at the Harvard Business School. We still have lunch. And a couple of them I talk to on the phone every 2 weeks. Great guys. And did 2 years there, graduated summa cum laude, and so I had to pay that back at one point, obviously. And then when I left the Harvard Business School, some clown at Bucharest decided I should go back to amphibs. I said, oh no. Remember, when I said I would go to the Harvard Business School, as you requested, I said, I get my destroyer when I come out. And they said, yeah, but you know, things have changed. I said, no, they haven't. You know, I've got a guy here at the Harvard Business School, and he's got $5,000 in his back pocket and a lawyer, and he is willing to fight you. So they went back to the drawing board, and you know what they did? You know who Jim Roach is? He was one of my friends eventually became one of my close friends in the Pentagon. But Jim Roach eventually became the Secretary of the Air Force. He was in the DBA program at Harvard. I was in the MBA program. Both did a couple of years there. And they decided, okay, these guys are making trouble. So what we'll do is we'll find out just how good these management guys are. So they gave him the worst destroyer on the Pacific coast, and they gave me the worst destroyer on the East Coast. And when I say the worst destroyer, let me tell you, it was coming off the worst salting casualty in the history of the destroyer force on anywhere in the Navy. I was going to be the fifth, well, they decide, okay, we'll put a captain in there just long enough until we can get Fred down there. So I became the 5th captain in 16 months for the ship. Okay. 2 captains had been relieved for cause. One had a heart attack. The other one was just put there for 2 months until I could get there. The ship had blown up in the North Atlantic. It had been towed into Scotland, then it was towed all the way back to Charleston. They had to tear the entire engineering plant out of the ship and rebuild it. It had it was a McNamara destroyer. So what it was is it had one of everything. It had no backup for anything. You know, it was a disaster. I mean, if you took a ship like this into combat and it took any damage at all, it was out of action. You know, it had one screw, one rudder, one HP air pump, one LP air pump. It had one of everything. It couldn't take any damage at all. Okay. As a result, it had, in 8 years, it had never made a successful deployment, not one. So they said, well, we'll give it to this kid from Harvard, see if he can make it work, right? Yeah. When I got there, the morale was terrible, absolutely terrible in the toilet. I went into one space on the main deck, and I could put my head through a hole in the bulkhead. Okay. First time I got the ship underway, one of the sailors on the ship alongside of us said, "Do you want us to rig for tow?" It was that bad. They called us Building 1044 in Charleston. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. The ship was a I won't get into all the engineering problems, but it was a engineering plant. The boilers were 1/3 the size of a normal D boiler, but they fired at 3 times the rate of a normal D boiler. So the chemistry in these boilers was incredible. You had to be incredibly precise or you screwed it up. I mean, unbelievable. Where a normal D boiler, you were allowed 2 parts per billion of salt. In these, you were only allowed 0.25 parts per billion. And this is on a logarithmic scale, so you just weren't allowed any. So the normal boiler tech was useless. You had to have somebody who was really sharp. And it was a mess. It was a mess. Pressure fired plant. Never made a successful deployment. Had been, in fact, in one tour in the Mediterranean of 6 months, they were sent home early, 3 months early, told, you don't even have to replace it. Just get it the hell out of here because we don't have to maintain it anymore. That's how bad it was.